What's good? All right, so now you got your framework, your hook, your story, your value, and your CTA. But you might be wondering, do I need to write out a full script or can I just wing it? Your answer is it depends on some people work better with a full script. Every word written out, they read it or memorize it, and that's great if you tend to ramble. If you're new to this or if you want to super polish content, other people like me, I work better with bullet point outline, key points, transitions, and the CTA written out. The rest is off the cuff. I mean, I can't sit here I look at my notes and then I see it and what comes out is not what, is on my notes. So this keeps things, keeps things conversational and lets you, personally shine. And that's what you want to do, man. You want to be genuine when it comes to this. Now, nothing is wrong, but you got to find what works for you. And a lot of people tend to take that, what some of the people who are showing you these, working with you in these courses, people tend to think that you are supposed to do exactly what they say. That's not how it works. When you're doing things like, learning how to do, nobody knows your business but you. So you got to do what's right for you. So let me show you a couple of options that you need to think about. And when you think about it, it'll make sense to you how you should, do your particular podcast show. Now, the full script, this is word for word what you're going to say. You write it out like you're having a conversation, and it's not like an essay. So use short sentences, use your language. Now, here's a quick template. You got the hook. So for me, it's what's good. It's how I talk. It's more relatable. I'm not, hey, good afternoon. No, what's good? Today we got to talk about, whatever topic. For me, it's podcast for profit, because getting you to have a show that generates a 6 to 7 figure income, see, that's what matters. Okay. Then you let your story be told. And you got to have your story, and your story is most important. People buy off emotion. Now, let me tell you what happened to me, or let me tell you what happened to a client, or let me tell you what happened to this person. I know. All right. So tell your story, man. Make it like 2 or 3 paragraphs. That works. You got to understand that truly works. Then you give value in your first main point. So here's the first thing you need to understand. And then you give the example of what you need to understand. Value point number 2 is, now here's where it gets real. And then you give the example of what makes this process, this thing that you're presenting, what makes it so real. And then value point number 3 is this. And this is the one most people miss. And then you explain what it is that these folk are missing. Then you hit them with the CTA. All right, if you get value from this, here's what I need you to do. And you give them a clear next step. The next step will either you be subscribed to the channel, join the free community, click the link below to grab a hold of whatever lead magnet you have. All right. Option number 2 is, of course, the one that I like to put out there as the bullet point. This right here is just key points. You fill in the rest as you talk. Here's how I do for my episode. So my episode title is the topic. Okay. Whatever topic I'm using, how to use AI to generate titles for your podcast. That we just throwing that out there. All right, so I call out a pain point. Now my hook is I call out the pain point. I give a teaser for a transformation. By the end of this episode, you will know. So my story is my experiences with whatever the situation is, whatever's relevant at the time, and the lesson I learned. And then my main content of point number 1 is a key idea, example or analogy, and an action step. Point number 2, example, analogy, and an action step. And then point number 3, again, an example, an analogy, and an action step. And then when I get to my CTA, I give you a download. So download the free client generating podcast, a blueprint, and then I'll put a link in the show notes below and see the difference. And you see the difference. The bullet outline gives you more structure, but it keeps you loose. It keeps you being able to flow with whatever it is that you're doing. You know where you're going, but you can also slide off the cuff a little bit. Let your personality come through. People feel comfortable when they feel like they are attached to you. All right. And then here's my recommendation. If you are brand new, start with a 5 to 10 minute script episode. Test the waters out. All right. This helps you find your voice. This helps you build a lot of confidence. And by building that confidence, you start to get a little comfortable and you are able to speak directly into the mic, look directly into the camera. Okay. And then once you get your rhythm, your transition to the bullet, your bullet point outlines. That rhythm comes, then the transition comes to where you able to just say, all right, we're just going to do bullet points. We're just going to go off the top. So the goal is to sound natural, like you're having a conversation, not robotic. You don't want to be robotic. You don't want to be high. No, you don't want to do that. Your audience wants you to feel, they want to feel like they know you, like you sitting there at the table with them, doing what you do, making everything kosher, smooth, and everything is working out fine. All right. And they want, like I said, they want to feel like they are having a serious conversation, like you talking sports or you talking about the latest news on YouTube, Instagram, whatever. They don't want to feel like they're having a TED talk. They don't want to feel like they sitting around listening to you speak at a conference. Keep it real, keep it you. All right. And that's what you got to do, man. You can't listen. Your action step is pick your approach, script or bullet points. Pick it. And then use the template I had given you up above and prep your next episode. All right. Get it on paper. Write it down. See, the first thing you do is you write it down before you hit record. And that's the most important part. All right. Now, what's next up? Well, we got to talk about some gear and some setup. So, but don't worry, we're going to keep it simple. We're not going to break the bank. You don't need a $10,000 studio to start. All right. Let's get it. Let's go.